Raising Nico, May 18, 2016.
Welcome to one new episode of Raising Nico. Today we're gonna do something new. This is gonna be a kind of an experiment. Let's see how it works. I am in Coursera, which is this MOOC, which is free education, which I appreciate very much. And I'm seeing this learning how to learn. Powerful mental tools to help you master those subjects. University of California, San Diego. What I want to do is to go over this class, over the whole course, with Nico, and see what is his understanding of the classes, what is my understanding of the classes, and how can we use that in our own benefit. So what we're gonna do is to start working, reading this class, and we're gonna do a kind of summary, and after we come back to you guys. Okay, let's start. Okay. Come on, Nikito. This is Nico, everybody. He's a little bit tired because I just picked him up from the school, so he's a little bit moody. But okay, let's give it a try. So Nico, let's start by the first class. Oh, this is like preview. Start lesson.
What do you do when you just can't figure something out? For zombies, it's pretty simple. They can just keep bashing their brains against the wall. But living brains are a lot more complex. It turns out, though, that if you understand just a little bit of some of the basics of how your brain works, you can learn more easily and be less frustrated. Researchers have found that we have two fundamentally different modes of thinking. Here, I'll call them the focused and the diffuse modes. We're familiar with focusing. It's when you concentrate intently on something you're trying to learn or to understand. But we're not so familiar with diffuse thinking. Turns out that this more relaxed thinking style is related to a set of neural resting states. We're going to use an analogy of the game of pinball to help us understand these two thinking modes. Incidentally, both metaphor and analogy are really helpful when you're trying to learn something new. If you remember, a pinball game works by you pull back on the plunger, release it, and a ball goes boinking out, bouncing around on the rubber bumpers, and that's how you get points. So, here's your brain, with the ears right here and the eyes looking upwards, and we can lay that pinball machine right down inside it. So there you go. There's the analogy for the focus mode. The blue rubber bumpers here are placed very close to one another. See the orange pattern here towards the top? It represents a familiar thought pattern, maybe involving something simple like adding some numbers, or more advanced ideas like literary criticism or calculating electromagnetic flux. You think a thought, boom, it takes off, moves smoothly along, and then as it's bouncing around on the bumpers, you're able to figure out the problem you're trying to solve or the concept you're trying to understand that's related to something you're rather familiar with. So look at how that thought moves smoothly around on the fuzzy underlying orange neural pathway. In some sense, it's as if it's traveling along a familiar, nicely paved road. But what if the problem you're working on needs new ideas or approaches, concepts you haven't thought of before? That's symbolized here by this neural pattern towards the bottom of the pinball machine area. But if you haven't thought that thought before, you don't even know how that pattern feels or where it is. So how are you going to develop that new thought in the first place? Not only do you not know where the pattern is or what the pattern looks like, but see all the rubber bumpers that are blocking your access, whatever direction you do decide to move in? To get to this new thought pattern, you need a different way of thinking, and that's represented here by the diffuse mode. Look at how widely spaced the rubber bumpers are. Thought takes off. Look at how it moves widely, bounces around. It can travel a long way before being interrupted by hitting a bumper. In this diffuse mode of thinking, you can look at things broadly from a very different big picture perspective. You can make new neural connections traveling along new pathways. You can't focus in as tightly as you often need to finalize any sort of problem solving or understand the finest aspects of a concept, but you can at least get to the initial place you need to be in to home in on a solution. Now, as far as neuroscientists know right now, you're either in the focus mode or the diffuse mode of thinking. It seems you can't be in both thinking modes at the same time. It's kind of like a coin. You can see either one side or the other side of the coin, but not both sides at the same time. Being in one mode seems to limit your access to the other mode's way of thinking. In our next video, we're going to see how some extraordinary people access their diffuse ways of thinking to do great things. Thanks for learning about learning. I'm Barbara Oakley.
Okay. So, I think it's very interesting, right?
Right.
Okay. So, what we're gonna do now is we're gonna talk together about what we saw and have some ideas in the whiteboard just to continue watching the next video to see if we understanding everything what we are seeing. Okay? So I'm gonna stop the video now. By the way, I don't think we can show this video in this video, so we're gonna do just parts. But okay, let's talk about what we saw. We are coming right back. Say bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
Okay, so there are two parts of your brain. There's a thinking brain modes. One is focus and diffuse. Okay, so that's diffuse. So
Escríbelo, papi.
oh, diffuse. So focus is when, let's say when you're like you know what's 1 plus 1. There's like, let's just say like an analogy of saying a pinball game in your brain, right? So there's a pattern in your brain only when you know something. Like, let's say 1 plus 1 is 2. You already know that, so you follow the pattern because you know it already. So let's say there's a other hard part, like let's say driving a car and you don't even know how to drive one. So let's say it gets stuck. So it's like getting and it can't get out. So what you want to do is stay calm and go to diffused mode. Well, what you want to do is spread the pins so you can get out. And you think of ways like, if you want to drive the car, let's see, what do I remember in cars? Oh, I remember in the black thing, like that black pedal, you press that and then you can keep driving. So then it gets easier and it keeps thinking, oh, when you want to stop, you press that. I remember my dad was doing that when he was driving. And, well, maybe if you drive like in this direction, the car will go in that direction. So then it will get the right answer.
Okay, good. So why diffuse thinking helps you to find the problem in a better way? Why?
Because diffused.
What means the space between the blockers when here in the focus mode is too close one to the other, and in the diffuse they have more space? What means that?
It means like you think of other ways, but here you just get
Exactly.
stuck.
Go slow. Go slow. When you have more space between the blockers, because you are in the fuse mode, okay? When you have more space, you can do something that they call think out of the box.
Yeah.
Think out of the box is to think not only in the solution, but go to the beginning and try to figure out exactly what is the question. And when you know what is the question, you start thinking in possibilities. And if you are in your brain following just one straight focus pattern that you know, that you are familiar with, but what you are looking to do is very different, it won't help you, right? That won't help you. But the diffuse mode is more space, and that is the analogy that they are using with the game. What's the name of the game?
What's it called?
Pinball.
Pinball, yeah.
Good job. Okay. So we're gonna finish today's session of Racing Nico. We're gonna go over the whole class that we are seeing here in San Diego to see how it works and what learning Nicolas can do out of all these lessons. Nikito, bring the thing and let's finish.
Racing Nico. Bye bye.